Hello learners, welcome to our program of Tribal Entrepreneurship and Economics. Today we are going to deal with module number 5, in which we are going to deliver the lecture which is basically on the weekly markets, occasional markets and vocal for local. In today's lecture we will be dealing with the markets only. Before that, in this module, you might have studied about TriFed, NST FDC and tribal business models. And let's now we see in this particular lecture that what is the idea of market, what are the structural features of tribal economy, and then a brief about occasional and weekly tribal market. So, what is a market? When we were a student, we were being taught that market is one physical location where buyers and sellers meet. But with the change in the technology, now we can say that market is a place where it is true that buyers and sellers meet to exchange the goods and services, but it can be of both types. It can be physical, where the buyer and seller meet face to face, like any retail shop you may say, or online also, where the physical presence is not important, but the transaction will definitely take place through the network of different technologies. So, when we talk about from the point of view of tribal entrepreneurship and tribal economics, I have also mentioned earlier that the physical aspect of tribal market is vast and present. The online market is to be developed. It is being developed by multiple agencies of the central and state governments, but at the same time, these online markets needs to be developed from the point of view of the customer satisfaction point of view as well. Now, let us see the structural features of tribal economy. In 1976, one study was made in which it has been said that the tribal business or the tribal markets are different from the common markets. Let's see how they are different from each other. The number one is forest-based economy. The tribal market are essentially based on the products being received from the forest area. These are the natural products like honey, leaves, beads and other animal bones, etc., which can be abundantly available in the forest area. It is also understood that since we are talking about tribal entrepreneurship, the tribal belts are usually lives nearby these areas, and so they have access to these natural resources from the forest, and because of their traditional knowledge, they also know how to use these products for their well-being. The next point is domestic mode of production. It is also known as familial mode of production, which means that in tribal organization, if anything is being produced at a large scale, this is being produced by number of family members itself, which are working as a semi-skilled or skilled labor. So, here we cannot say that the employment of labor will be taken from the outside. Not only this, even if it is a tribal entrepreneurship, most of business being run by the large family members only, and very unlikely the people are taken from the outer environment, maybe from the tribal belt, but not from the family. So, what I want to suggest that it is basically a familial mode of production. The third point is simple technology. When we talk about the tribal entrepreneurship, we know that they are using their traditional method of extracting the products or using the benefit of those products from the natural resources. They do not have any idea of chemical preservatives or any other things which can adulterate their production. So, in that way, they are actually using the simple technology of taking out those products from the forest area and from the hilly area. The best example for this are being extraction of honey. While the beekeeping may be a major source of business for some city dwellers, some city-based beekeeper, but for the tribal belt, they actually do not rear the beekeeping. They take the honey from the natural vegetations of honeybees available in the forest. Next comes the absence of profit motive in exchange. We know that usually the tagline of business is followed with the profit motive, which means if any business is to be run, its main idea to generate the profit. Only the non-governmental organizations are considered to be working for not for profit motive. Also, the government public policy is also considered is not for profit motive. In the same line, the tribal entrepreneur basically want to sell their products which they have brought from the forest area to earn a little livelihood, to earn their basic needs. Most of the time, they also do not sell it on money. They actually use the barter technique by exchanging their excess product with the excess product of somebody else. For example, if somebody has better production of paddy or rice, it could be sold off with certain medicinal plant. In that way, they actually have less idea of earning profit from their business and more of the use of that particular product for their livelihood. The next point is community as a cooperative unit. It does mean that whenever a tribal entrepreneurship starts, it works for the benefit of whole of the community. It does not work in a way that one family in a tribal population would be hampering the other family for the business purposes. Whole of the families would be working in such a way that their natural place of living should not be deteriorated, and also the forest based products could easily be available over the long period of time. In this way, they work in a cooperation mode rather than in a competition mode. Next point is gift and ceremonial exchange. Here, the idea of providing the product in exchange as a gift for certain ceremonies also. So, as I have said that maybe one of the family in the tribal community may have a better idea of production of one unique type of cloth, maybe some livelihood material, but at the time of some ceremonies, they might be providing these products without any cost, without charging any amount over there. And so, they basically gift it for certain religious or family based programming purposes. The next point, which is the important point for this particular topic, is the periodical markets. It has been seen that in the modern businesses, in the modern urban area, we see that markets are somewhat a regular phenomenon which is being run side by side with the jobs, businesses or profession people are performing. But here in a tribal belt, despite being the essential products, the tribal markets are basically periodical in nature, and from the title of today's lecture, we also know that these are basically called occasional markets and weekly markets. We will delve into it in deeper, but the main point here to understand that the tribal markets are not actually a regular phenomenon. It is a phenomenon which is periodical in nature. The next point is interdependence. The tribal populations are interdependent to each of the family members, because where one family might be good in doing the bamboo cultivation, the other might be good in honey production, and some other might be good in using the plants and flora for medicinal purpose. They work in an interdependent mode. Probably, if we connect these lines with the theme of Swaraj of Mahatma Gandhi ji, then Mahatma Gandhi ji has already said that our agri population need not to be dislocated to different places, because one village is self-sufficient and they have their own Swaraj. In the same way, the tribal population also have their own interdependence, and they can run their affairs of family, business, livelihood, health by their own. Naturally, with today's complexity, some problems may arrive to them, but most largely they would be doing these businesses, these regular affairs by their own. So, these are certain structural features out of which our main focus for today's lecture is actually the periodical markets. So, we are moving to that. So, as I have mentioned that periodical markets, so here the point to be ponder that the market is a major economic institution that regulates as well as facilitates distribution of goods and services among the people all over the world. So, being a city dweller, we might be understanding that without market, we may not flourish, or without market, how come we bring the products for our own use? But for our astonishment, there is the absence of permanent market in the tribal societies. In the tribal societies, we basically see the markets which are weekly in nature or occasional in nature. Also, we can see that in these markets, basically the exchange of goods takes place on a barter system basis rather than for the money purpose. So, in that way, we can identify that these periodical markets have certain importance in the tribal economics. As I have said that the periodical markets can be bifurcated in occasional and weekly markets. So, here it is the idea of occasional tribal markets. As I have already said that, or as the name also suggests, that occasional means the time when the tribal market is being placed for certain specific purpose, maybe some religious gathering, maybe some festival, or maybe some other particular occasion or season. So, by and large, the idea comes up that occasional markets are not regular in practice. Even their dates are not specific. Their dates might be specific from their own idea of calendar, but not from the Gregorian calendar or simply the English calendar we follow. These markets are usually held in the rural areas or remote tribal areas. Being the occasional in nature, these are fetching large amount of customers from the nearby villages and towns as well. Because when these are occasional in nature, they have number of merchandise available from the tribal population. Not only this, these occasional markets actually have number of sellers from across the region, and they might be bringing their unique products for showcasing and finally selling, or maybe doing over the barter. These items may include the handicrafts, pottery and traditional jewelry from their side. So, if we sum up about the occasional tribal markets, this is a market where the things, the goods are being of exceptional in nature. Why I am saying exceptional in nature? Because the jewelry which is tribal in nature, the handicrafts, the pottery are not purchased time and again. These are purchased once in a year or maybe twice in a year. So, on certain occasions like festivals, they bring their own handicrafts, their own handmade pottery, and this could have some religious understanding of purchasing during those occasions. It is just like same if we see in the urban population that during Holi, most of the people are buying most of the namkeens, gujiyas, etc. While during the Diwali season, we basically purchase sweets from the sweet shops. In the similar fashion, the occasional market provides different avenues for certain festivals being to be organized, and the material being sold there are basically for that festivities as well. Let me take one or two examples of occasional tribal markets. This is an example which is a popularly and worldwide known example of Pushkar Fair or Pushkar Mela. You may be identifying that maybe it is not tribal in nature, but yes, it has all the features of being called as occasional market. If you do not know about it, the Pushkar Mela, then there is a little hint that Pushkar Mela is one of the biggest camel fair in the Rajasthan area near Ajmer, and it happens once in a year during Kartik Purnima. So, date is specific, which is yearly in nature. So, timing is important here. Next, it is event based, that this fair is basically done for trading of camels. Its significance is also very much important, that people across from Rajasthan area brings their best breed of camels to be sold out in this particular fair. And not only this, the buyers also wait for this occasion to purchase the animal of their likeliness. Nowadays, this fair has been extended from being only selling and purchasing of animals to a fair which we can see in the city area as well. Also, to mention that this Pushkar fair is temporary in nature and just occur for 7 to 10 days in the month of Kartik, which shows that it is occasional in nature and it does not repeated month after month. Yes, it repeated year after year, and that is on a specific date of Kartik Purnima. This is an example of a wall hanging made up of paddy, which is being prepared before the Diwali season in Chhattisgarh area. This is an example of the product being utilized or being sold during the occasional market. This is popularly known as Chirai Chugni, and it is considered as auspicious to hang these particular wall hangings made up of paddy at the front of our home, and if these are being utilized by the parrots and other types of birds, then people understand it auspicious for their future. It is also based on the timing that during Diwali only the crop of paddy is readied, and hence this type of craft can be made. It is event based, since people consider that Diwali is one of the auspicious festival of India. So, it is being developed at that period of time. Its significance is also important, that as I have said that if this is installed before the houses and being utilized by the birds, it has a greater significance, making it related to the cultural heritage. It is also temporary in nature because these are available during the Kartik season only and may not be found in the other seasons, because the paddy crop being utilized by them then, and the rice could have been produced from that. So these are the two examples of occasional market, which we are said that a Pushkar fair and this particular product which is known as wall hanging made up of paddy. Now let's see weekly tribal market. If we see that the occasional tribal market has no ready idea of occurrence or has no regular frequency of occurrence, the weekly tribal market, as the name suggests, are the markets which are occurring on regular basis, basically once in a week. For example, where I live in, that may not be a tribal market, but once in a week on Wednesday, there is a common marketplace for selling of livelihood materials, basically vegetables and simple clothing. So the weekly market actually serves a vital source of livelihood for tribal communities, providing them the platform to sell their products and to earn certain income. Weekly markets are usually smaller in scale and primarily helpful for tribal population. So as I was saying that since the weekly market has the regularity in their occurrence, naturally it will not fetch that much crowd because it will have the regular types of items to be sold in that particular market. And when we talk about the regular type of items, two items, that is the food items and the clothings, are the important items which are being sold in these markets. It should also be known that this market is not for the selling of the products only. Since we are talking about the tribal market, it is also the market of socializing with each other and cultural exchange, also preservation of their traditional customs. You can identify these as haats nearby some of your villages or some of your towns, where certain tribal people meet, get together, and they purchase the food items, clothings, maybe performing one or two dances there and then happily going to their home. The products available into these weekly markets are specific to their particular locations, but naturally the essential items of foods, clothings, handicrafts would essentially be there. I have been to the Assam area, and naturally the weekly items were more of the poultry and the meat production items were there. Now when I am in Chhattisgarh area, here I can identify that since the most of the vegetarian in nature, so the paddy and paddy based products like rice and the sweets made up of rice are abundantly available. Not only this, the green vegetables and the local spices are also being sold in the weekly market. Let us see some of the example of weekly market. This is a photograph which has been taken from the tribal weekly market of Odisha, and we are calling it as a weekly market because it has a weekly reputation, and you can see that the green vegetables are being sold into this picture, which is specifying that the sale of essential good is being taken place in this market. Also, if you can see that two ladies are sitting nearby, they might be doing a kind of cultural exchange or following their tradition into this market as well. These markets are usually recurring in nature because for the livelihood, the food items will be required time and again. So it cannot be placed for being in the occasional market. Another example I have taken from Chhattisgarh area, that the weekly market, which is usually called as haat in Chhattisgarh area, are now being utilized by the state government to place their medical van over there, so to serve the basic healthcare facility to the tribal belts. And this is one of the better idea which the government can generate, since the government might be knowing this, that the tribal belts are reaching to these particular markets for purchasing their essential goods. So, naturally, when the medical facility or some other basic facilities which could be provided over a vehicle can be served a good purpose over there. In this picture, you can simply see that a doctor, a nurse are also available to make a health checkup of the tribal villagers. Conclusively, we can say that whether it is an occasional market or a weekly market, both plays a crucial role in sustaining the economic livelihoods of indigenous communities. They also promote cultural heritage and facilitate socio-economic interaction among them. And it is important to learn that without these markets, probably this type of socio-economic interaction would hardly take place. At one place, we are naturally promoting the online business for tribal entrepreneurship just for the sake of increasing the product demand over the larger population. But at the same time, it is important to learn that these are the physical features of the markets, whether occasional or weekly, which actually give the cultural heritage to be preserved. Not only this, with these cultural aspirations, with these products and their supply, some of the items which are not available to the general public can be brought forward from the dense forest area or from the hilly area for the utilization by the general society. In that way, the occasional markets and weekly markets actually helping in boosting both the economic affairs of the community as well as reach of their products to the larger population. Thank you. I hope you will like this lecture.